In the name of Allah Almighty, the most beneficent and the most merciful, I am here again with lecture number 4 of the subject 19th century poetry. And in this subject, today we will discuss the topic of William Blake, selections from Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience. Let's discuss lecture outline. Okay, in this lecture, we will discuss the introduction of William Blake as a poet, his biography, and then I'll introduce you people with the Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience. So, particularly, we are here now studying poetry, particularly. Okay, then I'll discuss only Songs of Innocence, that what is the background and which type of poems are there, what is its collection. Alright, next we have Songs of Experience, the Chimney Sweeper, and then there are analysis of the poem of Chimney Sweeper. Then there are themes of the poem, the Sick Rose, and its analysis, its themes, and then there is conclusion and reference. This is going to be a bit long lecture because we have to cover a lot of contents. Okay, without wasting time, let's start. First of all, introduction of William Blake, his early life. William Blake was a famous poet, painter, and engraver of the late 18th century and early 19th century. Blake was a radical anti-authority figure. William Blake was born at 28 Broad Street in Soho, London on 28 November 1757. His father James Blake was a hosier. He and his wife Catherine had 6 children. William served 7 years and became an engraver himself in 1779. Blake also wanted to paint, and the same year he became a student at the Royal Academy of Arts. Okay, by engraver we mean that the one who is involved in engraving, in carving on some hard material, all right. And hosier means the one who is who deals knitwear. Knitwear means the clothes that are knitted. Alright, so William Blake was born at 28 Broad Street in Soho, London. Okay, that is the place where he was born. His father was a hosier, he and his wife had 6 children. Alright, so he was radical, he was anti-authority figure. William served 7 years and became engraver. Okay, Blake also wanted to paint, and the same year he became student at the Royal Academy of Arts. On 18 August 1782, William Blake married Catherine Sophia Boucher at the Church of St. Mary in Battersea. Blake also wrote poems. So that is, we are now studying about his biography, that where he was born, where he got education, and to whom he was married. So all such information we are going to discuss in his biography. Okay, so Blake also wrote poems. A book of poems called Poetical Sketches was published in 1783. He wrote poems, so his first collection of poems was published in 1783. In 1789, he published a book of poems called The Song of Innocence. We will look into detail what these Songs of Innocence are. Okay. In 1793, Blake published Visions of the Daughter of Albion. The same year, 1793, Blake published The Marriage of Heaven and Hell. So what happened in 1793? Blake published Visions of the Daughters of Albion, and the same year he published The Marriage of Heaven and Hell. It is also one of the famous writings of William Blake. Also in 1793, Blake published America, a Prophecy. Okay, so introduction of Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience. I'll just discuss the background of why he had written, what are the contents, what type of writings they contain, what type of poems they have. So we will discuss only that in its introduction. Okay, Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience is a collection of illustrated poems by William Blake. It means that it is a collection of poems. There are lot of poems which are here in Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience. It appeared in 2 phases. In which 2 phases? A few first copies were printed and illuminated by Blake himself. Alright, so these songs appeared in 2 phases. First few copies were printed and illuminated by Blake himself in 1789. 5 years later, he bound these poems with a set of new poems in a volume titled Songs of Innocence and of Experience, showing the 2 contrary states of the human soul. Okay, I'll explain it later, but first I would like to explain that he bound these poems first copies, they were printed in 1789, that you need to remember. All right, and then he published it with the title of Songs of Innocence and of Experience. So what does this Songs of Innocence and Experience mean? Innocence is the age of, you know, purity, in which your mind is very blank, you do not know the realities of life, you are just, it's kind of your childhood life. All right, so in Songs of Innocence he talked about all the childhood experiences, all the, you know, naivety of kids, that they are new, they don't know the realities of life, that what's happening around them. While Songs of Experience, in that when you go through the course of life, you experience certain things, either good or bad, they had a lasting impact on your psyche. As a result, you become mature. So that is what he has talked about, the experience. All right, so innocence and experience are two opposite. All right, and this is what the contrary states of the human soul has been presented by the Blake in his Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience. Yes, first we have Songs of Innocence. So what he had talked about Songs of Innocence, let's discuss. Songs of Innocence was originally a complete work, first printed in 1789. It is a conceptual collection of 19 poems engraved with art work. Okay, so there are some kind of artistic expertise that he had put in his collection. It is a collection of 19 poems, that you also need to remember when it was first published, first printed in 1789, and it is a collection of 19 books. 19 poems. This collection mainly shows happy, innocent perception in pastoral harmony, but at times, such as in Chimney Sweeper and The Little Black Boy, subtly shows the dangers of this naive and vulnerable state. So what he wants to show, he actually showed in these Songs of Innocence the very happy, innocent life of the childhood of different people, that how they live their lives. But he also added some kind of, dangers in the lives, like the Chimney Sweeper, the Little Black Boy, who actually faced such kind of realities in their childhood, which normally people do not expect to face. Okay, there are few realities in our lives which actually snatch our childhood from us. Just see the street laborers, the child labor, the kids who had actually sacrificed their happiness, they sacrificed their education just to feed their hungry stomachs of their family as well. So such kind of things are represented in the Songs of Experience. We will discuss later on. Okay, here first we have the list of poems which are listed in Songs of Innocence, that is Introduction, The Shepherd, The Echoing Green, The Lamp, The Little Black Boy, The Blossom, The Chimney Sweeper, The Little Boy Lost, The Little Boy Found, Laughing Song, it's a separate one. Okay, A Cradle Song, The Divine Image, Holy Thursday, Night, Spring, Nurse Song, Infant, Joy, A Dream, On Another's Sorrow. That is the list of all the 19 poems of Songs of Innocence. Next we have Songs of Experience. So Songs of Experience redirects here. Songs of Experience is a poetry collection of 26 poems, forming the second part of William Blake's Songs of Innocence and of Experience. It means in the first part we have the collection of poems published under the title of Songs of Innocence, and in the second part, that is Songs of Experience, in that 26 poems are there is a collection of 26 poems. All right, the poems were published in 1794. Okay, the first collection was published in 1789, just remember that, and here it is published in 1794. In first collection, the Songs of Innocence, there were 19 poems, and here we have 26 poems. Some of the poems, such as The Little Girl Lost and The Little Girl Found, were moved by Blake to Songs of Innocence and were frequently moved between the two books. So what happened? So these poems, they moved the Blake to Songs of Innocence, and they are the poems which you can find in both the books. Here we have the list of the poems published by Blake in Songs of Experience. Introduction, Earth's Answer, Yes, The Cold and the Pebble, Holy Thursday, The Little Girl Lost, The Little Girl Found. There are few poems which are repeated. Like there's a first part in the Songs of Innocence, another part is in the Songs of Experience as well. For example, Chimney Sweeper has the same kind of treatment. It is included in both sets of poems. Okay, The Little Girl Lost, The Little Girl Found, A Dream, a Nurse. Okay, Nurse Song, The Sick Rose, The Fly, The Angel, The Tiger, A Sunflower, The Lily, The Garden of Love, The Little Vagabond, London, The Human Abstract, Infant Sorrow, A Poison Tree, A Little Boy Lost, A Little Girl Lost, To Tirza, The Schoolboy, The Voice of the Ancient Bird. So it is the collection of 26 poems by William Blake in his Songs of Experience. Later on, we will discuss them in detail, but here first we have The Chimney Sweeper from Songs of Innocence. So we have to cover books, poems from both sets of collection, like Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience. So the poem that we have from the Songs of Innocence is The Chimney Sweeper. It is from Songs of Innocence. Okay, what is the poem? I'll just narrate the poem and then its summary. When my mother died, I was very young, and my father sold me while yet my tongue could scarcely cry, weep, 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 weep. So your chimneys I sweep, and in soot I sleep. There's little Tom Dacre who cried when his head that curled like a lamb's back was shaved. So I said, hush, Tom, never mind it, for when your head's bare, you know that the soot cannot spoil your white hair. And so he was quiet, and that very night, as Tom was a-sleeping, he had such a sight that thousands of sweepers, Dick, Joe, Ned, and Jack, were all of them locked up in coffins of black. And by came an angel who had a bright key, and he opened the coffins and set them all free. Then down a green plain, leaping, laughing, they run, and wash in a river and shine in the sun. So that is the poem. It consists of 4 stanzas. Okay, I have just narrated the verses. Now I'll explain the verses one by one. When my mother died, I was very young. He wanted to say that when I was very young when my mother died, and my father sold me. Why he sold me? While yet my tongue. It means that I was not able to speak clearly when my father sold me out of poverty. We were so poor that we could not afford anything. That is why I had to work. My mother died. We were left alone, could scarcely cry and weep. I just could not cry. I just used to weep, 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 and weep, weep. Like I just hid myself somewhere, and then I started weeping so that nobody watches me. That was the condition of the boy. Okay, so your chimneys I sweep, and in soot I sleep. So what happened at that time? He used to sweep the chimneys of industries. He used to sweep them. He used to clean them. And in soot I sleep. That is soot. Soot is basically the dust. That is dust or the smoke. That is a layer of dust outside the chimney. So what he used to do, whenever he used to clean and sweep that dust, he used to sleep on the same dust. All right, so there's little Tom Dacre who cried when his head. So he just talked about his fellow sweeper who was there. His name was Tom Dacre, and what happened that he was crying one day. So when his head, okay, his head had hair in the form of lamb's back, means he had curly hair. So what happened? His curly hair was shaved by someone. His head was shaved by someone who was in authority. So instead of just making him weep, he said that never mind it for your head's hair, because his head is bare. His head was shaved. So he said that the soot, means the dust of the chimney that used to spoil your white hair, will no longer spoil it. So you should be happy that your head has been shaved. Okay, next. He was so quiet that very night. What happened? Tom was sleeping, And who is Tom? Tom was, a little boy who was there, who was also a chimney sweeper. So he was sleeping that night, and he saw that he had such a sight, means he saw a dream that thousands of sweepers, like chimney sweepers, Dick, John, Ned, Jack, means these were the names of those sweepers who used to work with him. They were all of them locked up in coffins of black. It means that they were wearing the black dress. And by came an angel who had a bright key, and he said that, and he opened the coffin, that they were locked up. It means that these are the coffins are the symbol of death. It means that they were died. So what happened? An angel came and just set them free from their coffins. So as a result, what happened? Then down a green plain, so set them free, leaping, laughing, they ran. So it was like that they had reached the paradise where everything is green and there is lush green scenery. So they are there, they are leaping, they are laughing, they are talking, laughing, eating together. So they run and wash in the river and shine in the sun. So what happened? So they were free, they could do everything they wanted. So that is such kind of a dream of chimney sweeper. Chimney sweepers particularly, who were so young that they were of 7 to 8 years or 10 years of age, and they were having such kind of sufferings as a chimney sweeper. So he had a dream that one day they are set free and they will be they will be happy in the paradise. Okay. Then naked and void, all their bags left behind, they rise up clouds and sport in the wind. And the angel told Tom, if he would be a good boy, he would have God for his father and never want joy. He said that. Okay, so what happened? Then naked and white. So then he saw in a dream that they were naked and white. Instead of black, they were white, so that they would be loved by everyone. All their bags left behind, means all their sufferings left behind. They rise upon clouds. So they were rising over the clouds, and they were playing in the wind. It means that they would have a wind to breathe. And the angel told Tom that if he would be a good boy, that if he become a good boy, so he would have God his father, that his father would be a god then. And so Tom awoke, and we rose in the dark. So what happened? When he awoke, his dream had been ended. He was again dark, and God with our bags, God with their sufferings, bags of and our brushes to work, like whatever they had in their bags, the brushes, the suffering, they were the source of the cause of their suffering, that they had to take those brushes and to go and they clean everything. Though the morning was cold, Tom was happy and warm. So if all do their duty, they need not fear harm. So what happened? As they were appointed for some kind of duty, so if they do their duty, so nobody would harm them. So that is what although the poem ends on a happy note, but still there is some kind of pain in it, that although they were kids, but they were made to do some kind of job. So if they do their job, they would be happy. Okay, analysis of poem. It is a figure of speech metaphor in which an implied comparison is made between persons or different objects. So what happened? There is one metaphor that is used in the first line of the last stanza. And so Tom awoke, and we rose in the dark, where dark is the metaphor of miserable life of the chimney sweeping children. So it is a miserable life, like dark, they were living in the dark. So that is metaphor. Okay. Consonance is the repetition of consonant sounds in the same line, such as sounds of I and P in cloud, scarcely cry, could L, scarcely cry, weep, weep, there is the sound of P, weep, 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 and the sound of R in. So if all do their duty, they need not fear harm, there. So these are the same sounds which are repeating. So what is simile? It is a figure of speech used to compare persons or objects to make the meaning clear. For example, that curled like a lamb's back. Like, here the word like is used, so that is why it is simile. Like a lamb's back was shaved. Alright, so I said alliteration is the repetition of consonant sounds in the same line but with quick succession, such as the sound of L in that curled like a lamb's back. There is a quick succession of the L consonant sound. L curled like a lamb's back was shaved. So I said, and the sound of C and W in could scarcely cry, and weep, 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 and weep. imagery is used to make readers perceive things involving their five senses. I have talked about it in the class. Okay, for example, so your chimneys I weep and in suit I sleep. So that is imagery. So you just feel that something is happening in front of you, that in they at the chimney they sweep, they sweep the chimney, they clean the chimneys, and they also sleep in the dust. Then naked and white all their bags left behind, and got with our bags and our brushes to work. So we have the imagery in these lines. Symbolism is a use of symbols to signify ideas and qualities by giving them symbolic meanings different from the literal meanings. Lamb is the symbol of childhood and innocence, and green plain symbolizes freedom and prosperity. So what happened? Symbolism is basically the use of symbols. Okay, these symbols refer to something else. So lamb is a symbol of childhood, means innocence, and green plain symbolizes freedom and prosperity. All right. Okay, themes of this poem are hardship, childhood, religion, and redemption. Redemption means salvation, want to have a relief from the suffering. Okay, theme of religion, there is Christianity. Okay, childhood and hardship. Hardships are shown, and since they were kids, so theme of childhood is also prevalent there. Okay, next we have another poem, that is the Sick Rose from Songs of Experience. Okay, first let's narrate the poem. O rose, thou art sick, the invisible worm that flies in the night, in the howling storm, has found out thy bed. Of crimson joy and his dark secret love does thy life destroy. Here the rose is used for a woman. It is a symbol of woman. Alright, rose. It is metaphor as well for the woman. Like the woman is sick, the invisible worm. The worm represent a man, that it is sick because of the worm, because of the man that flies in the night. It is like it is invisible. It flies in the night, and in the howling storm has found out thy bed. It has found your place, and it has come to, you can say, attack you as a result of crimson joy. So that attack is good as well as bad. It means that it's kind of, joyful pain. And his dark secret love does thy life destroy. So his secret love, that is dark, it is kind of like, it can destroy your life. So that is what is the explanation and summary of the poem. Okay, let's discuss. Okay, I have the summary as well. The sick rose is easy enough to summarize. The speaker addresses a rose flower which is diseased because some foreign agent has discovered the rosebud and is destroying the flower's vitality. Okay, literally if we talk about, so that sick rose is basically literally it's a rose flower. So the rosebud and is destroying the flower's vitality. It is a flower, and that is being destroyed by some foreign agent which is in the form of worm. But of course this leaves all our work ahead of us in working out what this rose and this worm are meant to represent. So we just keep on thinking that what this rose and this worm represent. So William Blake has consciously used the language of personification. He has personified the rose with the women and worm with the men. In the poem, human qualities have been attributed to both rose and worm. Here rose is made sick. Similarly, the worm has the power to make love, find out bed, and enjoy crimson. Apparently the poem is about a rose and a worm, but it is obvious that there is a hidden meaning in the poem. Okay, that hidden meaning I have talked about in the first when I narrated the poem, when I read the poem. It is then I have also talked about the hidden meaning, that rose represent a woman and worm represent the man. So apparently the poem is about a rose and a worm, but it is obvious that there is a hidden meaning in the poem. The things and the situation described in the poem are all symbolic. Yes, they have some kind of symbols. They imply something more than what they are. Blake uses contrast as a poetic device to convey his meaning. Thus, rose and worm, joy and destroy, are paired off. They are totally opposite to one another. They appear in the form of binary oppositions. Okay, both good and virtues are indicated by the number of words in the poem. Evil is indicated by a number of words. Sick, worm, night, howling storm, dark, secret, destroy, all such are indicated as evils. The worm stands for evil. It also connotes the ideas of lust, sin, destruction, corruption, and death. Like all the evil things, all the negative things are attributed to the worm. The worm is a mystery as it is described as invisible. It is engaged in secret activities. Finding the bed means secret activities, like men like to find the bed, expressing dark and secret love. So this is something related to the mystery of the worm. The rose stands for purity, innocence, beauty, ignorance, and so on. So the rose represents the women. The innocent rose is ruined by an experienced worm. So what happened? Rose is innocent while worm is experienced, that is ruined by the worm. The rose is a thing of beauty which is ruined by jealousy and sexual passion of the worm. The rose is a symbol of love which is destroyed by selfishness. Okay, there are themes of love, hatred, and destruction in this poem, because theme of love, because worm has love as well as hatred for the rose. Out of his love, the worm is there, all right, while hatred is that it has ruined the life of rose, that is why we call it hatred, and the life is ruined, that is why we call it as destruction. So I would like to conclude this lecture by saying that Blake's poetry is also considered as romantic in nature. In short, his poetry is known for its characters of mysticism, imagination, visionary aspects, symbolism, treatment of religion, and lyricism. Okay, there is a symbol, as we have also witnessed in our previous poem. There is a theme of imagination, that how he had imagined rose and the worm. All right, so these themes are applied, these characteristics are applied in his other poems. So I hope you have understood the lecture. That's all for today.